Welcome, friends. This is a complete movie review, so let's move. The story of Spider Man, Brand New Day, begins in New York City, where Peter Parker, played by Tom Holland, is now living a completely different life after the events that erased his identity from the world. No one remembers who he is, not his friends, not the people he saved, and not even those who once cared about him the most. And this creates a heavy emotional tone right from the beginning because Peter is now truly alone, trying to rebuild his life from nothing. He lives in a small apartment, struggling financially while continuing his studies and working small jobs just to survive. But despite all of this, he still chooses to be Spider Man, protecting the city every night without expecting recognition or reward, showing that his sense of responsibility is stronger than his personal loss. As the story progresses, we see a more mature version of Peter who has learned to live with pain and isolation. But deep inside, he still carries memories of his past life, especially moments connected to MJ and Ned, even though they no longer remember him. And this emotional conflict becomes a key part of his character. Meanwhile, the city of New York continues to evolve as new threats begin to emerge. Crime levels start increasing, and a new type of organized network begins to form, one that is more advanced, more controlled, and far more dangerous than anything Peter has faced before. This organization operates in the shadows using technology, influence, and fear to expand its control. And unlike previous villains, they do not rely on chaos but on precision and planning, making them harder to track and stop. As Spider Man begins investigating these activities, he realizes that something bigger is happening behind the scenes, something that could affect the entire city if not stopped in time. At the same time, Peter tries to reconnect with a normal life as he enrolls in college, where he unexpectedly sees MJ again, played by Zendaya, and although she does not recognize him, the moment creates a strong emotional impact, showing how much he has lost. Yet instead of revealing the truth, he chooses to stay silent, believing that keeping her safe is more important than bringing back the past. This decision reflects his growth as a character but also deepens his loneliness. Meanwhile, as Spider Man continues his investigation, he encounters small groups of criminals using advanced weapons and coordinated strategies, which suggests that they are being controlled by someone highly intelligent and resourceful. These encounters lead to intense action sequences where Spider Man uses both his agility and intelligence to survive, but he also realizes that these enemies are not random and are part of a larger system. As the first part comes to an end, Peter discovers a clue that points toward a powerful figure operating behind the scenes, someone who may be building a new kind of empire in New York, and this revelation sets the stage for a much bigger conflict, showing that Spider Man is about to face a challenge that will test not only his strength but also his identity and purpose in a world that has forgotten him. As Spider Man Brand New Day continues in this first chapter, Peter Parker's struggle with anonymity becomes more pronounced, showing the psychological toll of being completely erased from the memories of everyone he loves. And this adds a layer of depth to the story that goes beyond typical superhero action because it's not just about stopping villains but also about fighting personal invisibility. As Peter moves through his daily life, he notices small but telling reminders of the life he once had, photos in public places, headlines about Spider Man's past heroics, and casual mentions of events he himself experienced, yet no one recognizes him, which creates a subtle but constant tension, highlighting the isolation he feels. Despite this, Peter continues to maintain his commitment to justice, showing the true essence of his character, selfless responsibility. In parallel, New York begins to show cracks in its social fabric, with new criminal elements appearing who are more cunning and technologically advanced than traditional street level gangs. These new antagonists work in coordinated cells using information networks, surveillance, and robotics, which forces Spider Man to adapt his approach, combining his agility with strategy and analytical thinking, creating more intricate action sequences where he uses the environment to his advantage. For example, swinging through skyscrapers while avoiding sniper drones, or creating traps using web mechanics to disable robotic enemies. Meanwhile, Peter's interactions with ordinary citizens are cautious because revealing himself could expose him to danger, and yet he instinctively helps those in need, reinforcing the moral code that defines him. The emotional weight of these sequences is amplified because the audience understands that every small act of heroism is carried out in secret, unseen, and unappreciated. In the same time frame, Peter also begins experimenting with new technology to upgrade his Spider Man suit, adding stealth capabilities, enhanced sensors, and improved web shooters to tackle the modern threats. These upgrades are crucial as they reflect his adaptation to a world that has evolved while he has been forgotten, and they set the stage for future confrontations with more intelligent and organized adversaries. Additionally, Peter's interactions at college introduce subtle tension with classmates who unknowingly cross paths with him in ways that trigger memories of his past life, but without recognition. This creates a bittersweet tone where Peter experiences the familiar world of youth and learning, but is reminded constantly of the loss of his previous connections. As Part 1b concludes, Peter uncovers evidence linking the emerging criminal organization to high level city officials and corporate power structures, suggesting that the threats he faces are not just random acts of crime but part of a large scale plan. This discovery raises the stakes significantly, hinting that Spider Man will need to operate not only as a fighter but as a detective, strategist, and protector of a city that no longer sees him, setting a strong foundation for the story's next chapter, where both action and personal stakes will escalate dramatically. As Spider Man Brand New Day closes its first chapter, the story begins to explore the psychological and emotional layers of Peter Parker, played by Tom Holland, in a way that goes beyond superhero tropes, because now it's clear that the true challenge he faces is as much internal as external: the loneliness and invisibility imposed upon him by the world. Forgetting his identity, create moments of quiet introspection where Peter questions his purpose and the cost of being a hero when no one remembers your sacrifices. These moments are interwoven with sequences of preparation and vigilance as Peter reviews his journal, experiments with new web formulas, and refines combat techniques in his small apartment, showing that despite despair he is proactive, resourceful, and unyielding. The narrative further emphasizes the duality of Peter's life. By day, he attends college and interacts with people who do not recognize him, struggling to maintain a sense of normalcy, and by night, he swings across the city, silently observing, intervening in crimes, and gathering intelligence on the emerging threats. Each nighttime operation is not only action packed but also strategic, highlighting Spider Man's growth as a character who must adapt to a world that has evolved beyond the familiar street level battles of the past. The city itself becomes a character in this chapter, with dark alleys, neon lit streets, and high tech surveillance drones adding a sense of modernity and danger, reminding Peter that his environment has changed while his memory of the city's past remains vivid. This contrast underscores both his skill and his vulnerability. Simultaneously, the subplot involving MJ, played by Zendaya, introduces emotional tension as Peter observes her from a distance, longing to reconnect but restrained by the knowledge that revealing himself could compromise both her safety and his mission. This adds a layer of suspense and melancholy, giving depth to his character and anchoring the audience emotionally to his journey. Towards the end of Part 1C, Peter discovers a small but critical lead a pattern in recent crimes that suggests a central figure orchestrating them, someone intelligent, resourceful, and possibly connected to the higher echelons of power in New York. This revelation sets the stage for the next chapter where Peter's detective skills, strategic thinking, and combat abilities will be tested on a much larger scale. And as concludes, the audience is left with a strong sense of anticipation. Spider Man is operating in a city that has forgotten him, facing threats that are smarter, faster, and more organized than ever. And he must rise to the challenge not only to protect the city, but also to reclaim his place in a world that no longer recognizes him, making the first chapter a perfect mix of action, emotion, strategy, and character development, all while establishing the stakes for the epic journey to come. As Spider Man Brand New Day moves into its second chapter, Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, begins to piece together the first tangible clues of the new criminal network that has begun to rise in New York, a network that is far more sophisticated than anything he has faced before. And this chapter opens with Peter analyzing recent incidents, studying patterns of theft, sabotage, and high tech break ins, noticing that each action appears coordinated, almost as if someone with a deep understanding of the city's infrastructure is orchestrating it. This realization forces Peter to step into a more strategic role rather than relying solely on instinct or reflex, and it underscores a key growth in his character. He is no longer just a reactive hero, but a proactive one, combining intellect, observation, and combat skill in a way that the city has never seen. Meanwhile, the emotional strain of being forgotten by everyone he loves continues to shape Peter's choices, creating internal conflict as he balances his desire for connection with his obligation to remain hidden. And this tension adds layers to the story that go beyond conventional superhero narratives, emphasizing that heroism is not just physical but also mental and emotional. During one of his night patrols, Peter observes a series of coordinated thefts by a group of technologically equipped criminals using drones and surveillance to control their operations, and he realizes that these are not random petty crimes but part of a larger plan. As he intervenes in these incidents, Spider Man showcases a combination of agility, intelligence, and creative thinking, disabling drones with precision, using webs to redirect attacks, and neutralizing multiple opponents in confined urban environments. The choreography of these sequences demonstrates both his growth and the heightened danger he faces, highlighting that his enemies are learning and adapting as fast as he is. As the story progresses, Peter begins to investigate the roots of this new network, tracing them back to powerful individuals in both corporate and political positions, suggesting a level of corruption and influence that extends far beyond street level crime. And this elevates the stakes dramatically, showing that Spider Man is no longer just protecting individuals but challenging systemic threats that could endanger the entire city. Concurrently, Peter's life at college continues to weave in tension as he observes MJ, still unaware of his presence, navigating her own challenges, and the subtle emotional beats between them provide a counterbalance to the high octane action, keeping the story grounded and human amidst the chaos. Additionally, Peter begins experimenting with further upgrades to his Spider Man suit, integrating stealth capabilities, advanced sensors, and AI assisted targeting systems, reflecting both his intelligence and the necessity to face more technologically advanced threats. These upgrades become crucial as he anticipates that the coming battles will require more than agility and strength, they will demand precision, planning, and adaptation. During one late night investigation, Peter uncovers a lead connecting the criminal activities to a mysterious figure who has been operating from the shadows, manipulating events with surgical precision, and this discovery sets up the central antagonist of this chapter, creating tension and anticipation. because Spider Man realizes that confronting this figure will be far more complicated than any previous fight. It will require him to outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast an opponent who is always one step ahead. As Part 2A draws to a close, the audience sees Peter swinging through the city skyline, reflecting on both the challenges ahead and the emotional weight of his forgotten identity, preparing mentally for a confrontation that will test his intellect, skill, and moral compass, making it clear that the second chapter will expand the stakes, blending personal struggle with citywide threats, and emphasizing that Spider Man's journey in this brand new day is as much about reclaiming his role and self worth as it is about stopping crime. As Spider Man Brand New Day, Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, begins to uncover the true complexity of the emerging criminal network, and this chapter highlights how his forgotten identity not only isolates him emotionally but also forces him to operate under complete secrecy, making every move more dangerous, every decision more critical. Peter's investigation leads him into the heart of New York's underground tech world, where hackers, rogue engineers, and cybercriminals have begun to coordinate attacks that are both precise and highly destructive. The criminals use drones, surveillance systems, and automated defenses, showing a level of sophistication that challenges Spider Man's physical and mental abilities simultaneously. During one critical sequence, Peter infiltrates a high security facility using his stealth enhanced suit and web based gadgets to avoid cameras, security lasers, and armed guards. The tension in this sequence is palpable. One wrong step could reveal his identity and compromise his mission. As he navigates tight corridors and bypasses automated traps, Spider Man relies on a combination of agility, improvisation, and deep analytical thinking, demonstrating that heroism now involves intelligence as much as strength. The choreography of this infiltration sequence blends suspense, strategy, and combat in a way that keeps viewers on edge, while also reflecting the high stakes of the criminal organization's operations. Meanwhile, Peter's emotional state remains a central focus. He continues to encounter MJ, played by Zendaya, in her daily life. She is unaware of his presence, and these fleeting interactions are filled with subtle tension, longing, and regret. Peter is reminded constantly of the life he lost and the people he cannot reveal himself to. This emotional weight is reinforced in quieter scenes where he reflects on his actions, his sacrifices, and the moral cost of remaining hidden while protecting the city. The contrast between the city's vibrant chaos at night and his private moments of reflection adds a cinematic depth that makes the story more than just an action film. It becomes a story about identity, purpose, and the cost of heroism. In the midst of these challenges, Peter begins to detect patterns in the criminal network's movements. He realizes that these seemingly disconnected attacks are actually coordinated to destabilize the city's infrastructure, suggesting a mastermind operating far beyond street level crimes. This antagonist, operating from the shadows, uses influence, technology, and intimidation to manipulate events, making Spider Man's role as protector far more difficult than ever before. Peter recognizes that a direct confrontation would be suicidal without careful planning, reinforcing his growth as a strategist. Simultaneously, Peter experiments with new enhancements to his Spider Man suit. He integrates AI assisted sensors, enhanced web mechanics, and a modular system for non lethal crowd control. These upgrades are essential to counter the advanced threats, and their development is shown through sequences that blend scientific ingenuity with cinematic suspense. Each modification becomes a tool that Peter will rely on in future confrontations, highlighting his resourcefulness and intelligence. Reaches its climax, Peter uncovers a critical clue linking the network's activity to a prominent city figure with access to both political power and corporate resources. This revelation raises the stakes to a citywide level, showing that Spider Man is now fighting not only for personal justice but for the safety of all New York City. The chapter ends with Spider Man swinging across the skyline at night, silhouetted against the city lights, reflecting on the dual weight of his mission, combating a powerful, unseen enemy while remaining invisible to the world that needs him. As Spider Man Brand New Day continues, Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, begins to uncover the true complexity of the emerging criminal network in New York, and it becomes clear that this enemy is unlike any he has faced before: intelligent, resourceful, and always one step ahead. Peter's investigation leads him into the heart of the city's underground tech world, where hackers, rogue engineers, and cybercriminals coordinate their attacks with precision. Drones, surveillance systems, and automated defenses make the streets more dangerous than ever, forcing Spider Man to rely on both his agility and his strategic thinking. During a high stakes infiltration of a secured facility, Peter uses his stealth enhanced suit and advanced web gadgets to avoid cameras, lasers, and armed guards. Every movement requires precision, and one mistake could expose his identity. These sequences highlight that his heroism is no longer just about fighting, but about planning, adaptability, and mental acuity. Meanwhile, his civilian life continues to reflect the emotional toll of anonymity. Peter watches MJ, played by Zendaya, from a distance, unable to reveal himself, and these encounters carry a mixture of longing, regret, and restraint. His private moments, filled with reflection and planning, create a contrast with the high octane action, emphasizing that heroism comes with both physical and emotional sacrifice. Peter discovers patterns in the criminal network's operations that point to a mastermind controlling events from the shadows. This antagonist's reach into political and corporate power raises the stakes to a citywide level. Realizing that a direct confrontation would be suicidal without careful planning, Peter upgrades his suit with AI assisted sensors, enhanced web mechanisms, and modular tools for stealth and crowd control. These innovations demonstrate his intelligence and resourcefulness in preparation for the challenges ahead. As night falls over New York, Spider Man swings across the skyline, reflecting on the duality of his life, fighting to protect a city that has forgotten him while remaining invisible to the world he loves. Each move carries weight, each decision matters, and failure could have consequences far beyond himself. By the end of this sequence, Peter uncovers a major clue pointing toward the mastermind's next target, setting the stage for the most dangerous and challenging confrontation of his career. Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, follows the trail of the mastermind orchestrating New York's wave of high tech crimes, and each discovery pulls him deeper into a dangerous web of deception. The antagonist is not only skilled but methodical, predicting Spider Man's moves and using advanced surveillance and robotic enforcers to maintain control over the city's underworld. As Peter navigates dark alleyways, abandoned warehouses, and towering skyscrapers, he realizes that every encounter is a test of both his physical skill and his mental agility, and the city itself becomes a maze filled with traps, each designed to challenge him in new ways. Amid the high stakes action, Peter's emotional struggle remains central to the narrative. He observes MJ, played by Zendaya, from a distance as she faces her own challenges, still unaware of the life Peter led and the sacrifices he made. These quiet, poignant moments highlight the personal cost of his heroism. The contrast between his masked, high risk nightly operations and his hidden, lonely existence by day adds depth to his character, showing that even in a world of superhuman feats, Spider Man's greatest battles are often internal. The criminal network escalates its operations, targeting key infrastructure and influential figures to consolidate power. Peter encounters groups of technologically enhanced criminals using drones, automated defenses, and coordinated attacks. Each fight is more intricate and dangerous than the last, forcing him to improvise constantly. He uses new web gadgets, environmental traps, and acrobatic maneuvers, combining agility, intelligence, and strategy to survive. These sequences not only thrill visually but also reinforce Spider Man's growth from a reactive hero into a tactical and analytical protector of the city. Simultaneously, Peter begins piecing together clues that reveal the mastermind's identity, a shadowy figure operating from within the upper echelons of corporate and political power, orchestrating chaos without ever appearing directly. Understanding the scale of this threat, Peter realizes that his fight is no longer about stopping petty crime but dismantling an entire network that could destabilize the city. This revelation increases the stakes dramatically, preparing the audience for an epic confrontation. In quieter moments, Peter tests upgrades to his suit, integrating stealth features, advanced targeting systems, and enhanced web shooters capable of adapting to various threats. These innovations are crucial as he anticipates encounters with highly intelligent and unpredictable adversaries. They also highlight his resourcefulness and ingenuity, emphasizing that his victories depend as much on his mind as on his body. The chapter crescendos as Spider Man finally uncovers the location of a major operation orchestrated by the mastermind. This discovery leads to a series of tense reconnaissance missions across the city, navigating high security facilities and avoiding detection while gathering evidence. Each sequence blends suspense, action, and strategy, keeping the audience on edge while showcasing Peter's evolution as a hero who must think several steps ahead to protect the city. As the night deepens, Spider Man swings across the skyline, reflecting on the delicate balance of his dual existence. The city he fights for remains unaware of his presence, yet he carries the weight of its protection with unwavering resolve. With the clues pointing closer to the mastermind, Peter's mission is set. He must confront this powerful, hidden enemy while navigating the personal challenges of a life erased from the memories of those he loves, ensuring that every action, decision, and sacrifice counts in the struggle for New York's future. Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, begins to confront the full scope of the threat facing New York City. The criminal mastermind behind the recent high tech attacks has revealed an even more complex agenda, destabilizing the city through both physical destruction and manipulation of public trust. As Spider Man navigates this evolving landscape, every decision carries weight because a single mistake could compromise his mission or put innocent lives at risk. His nightly patrols are no longer just about fighting street level crime, they have become calculated operations where observation, timing, and strategy determine success or failure. During one high stakes encounter, Spider Man infiltrates a secret facility hidden beneath the city where he discovers prototypes of advanced weaponized drones and automated security systems. The sequence is filled with tension as Peter must disable traps, neutralize guards, and adapt on the fly when unexpected variables arise. Each maneuver showcases not only his physical prowess, but also his ability to outthink a technologically advanced opponent, reinforcing the evolution of his character from a reactive hero to a proactive strategist. At the same time, Peter's personal struggles continue to shape the narrative. His interactions with MJ, played by Zendaya, are poignant and bittersweet. She remains unaware of his identity, yet her presence motivates him to act with both courage and caution. These quiet, emotional beats provide contrast to the high octane action sequences, emphasizing the human cost of being a hero. Peter grapples with loneliness, the burden of responsibility, and the knowledge that his efforts may never be recognized, all while continuing to protect the city he loves. The criminal organization escalates its attacks, targeting critical infrastructure, public events, and key figures in New York. Spider Man faces coordinated assaults from technologically enhanced enforcers who anticipate his movements, requiring him to innovate constantly. He uses a combination of agility, web based gadgets, environmental traps, and tactical planning to stay one step ahead. Each confrontation is a high stakes puzzle, blending suspense, strategy, and intense action, demonstrating the sophistication of both the hero and his adversaries. Peter's investigation begins to uncover the mastermind's identity more clearly, a shadowy figure leveraging both corporate influence and political power to execute their plan from the shadows. This realization forces Spider Man to operate with even greater precision, knowing that conventional heroics will not suffice. The stakes extend beyond personal justice. Failure could destabilize the entire city, making every mission more dangerous and every decision more critical. Meanwhile, Peter upgrades his Spider Man suit with advanced stealth capabilities, adaptive sensors, and non lethal neutralization systems to counter the increasingly sophisticated threats. These upgrades are showcased in sequences that blend technical ingenuity with cinematic flair, demonstrating that his victories rely as much on intellect and innovation as on physical skill. Each enhancement reflects Peter's growth and preparedness for the climactic confrontations ahead. As the narrative progresses, Spider Man uncovers a major plan by the antagonist to launch a citywide attack. Peter begins to map the operation meticulously, tracking movements, predicting outcomes, and preparing contingencies. The tension escalates as every encounter reveals new facets of the mastermind's strategy, highlighting the complexity of the threats Spider Man must neutralize. His awareness of the stakes drives him to push both his physical limits and his mental capacities, creating sequences filled with suspense, ingenuity, and calculated risk. The chapter reaches a crescendo when Spider Man foils a coordinated attack on a public facility, saving civilians while simultaneously gathering critical intelligence on the antagonist's next move. The sequence combines acrobatics, tactical problem solving, and close quarters combat, highlighting the evolution of Spider Man's skill set and his ability to adapt to a rapidly escalating threat. This victory, though temporary, provides a glimpse of hope and determination, showing that even against a meticulously organized enemy, Spider Man's resilience and ingenuity remain his greatest strengths. As Peter swings across the New York skyline under the night sky, he reflects on the duality of his existence, protecting a city that has forgotten him while navigating personal isolation and emotional sacrifice. The narrative underscores that Spider Man's journey is not just about combat, but also about identity, responsibility, and the profound moral choices inherent in heroism. With the antagonist's plan gradually coming into focus, the stage is set for a confrontation that promises to test Spider Man's skill, intellect, and resolve like never before, setting up the next chapter for intense action, strategic maneuvering, and deeper emotional stakes. Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, dives deeper into the escalating conflict gripping New York City. The criminal mastermind's influence begins to become more visible, with coordinated attacks on key city infrastructures and high profile targets demonstrating both ambition and precision. Spider Man must now navigate a complex web of threats that extend far beyond simple street level crime, where every alleyway, rooftop, and skyscraper could conceal danger. The city itself becomes a chessboard, each move critical, each misstep potentially catastrophic. During a tense nighttime sequence, Spider Man infiltrates a corporate tower suspected of harboring the mastermind's operations. The building is protected by automated drones, reinforced security systems, and highly trained operatives. Peter relies on his upgraded suit, which now features advanced stealth capabilities, adaptive web mechanisms, and AI assisted targeting to bypass cameras and neutralize enemies efficiently. Each confrontation requires improvisation, strategic thinking, and precise timing, highlighting Spider Man's evolution from a reactive hero to a tactical strategist capable of outmaneuvering an intelligent and resourceful foe. While the action escalates, Peter's personal life continues to weigh heavily on him. He observes MJ, portrayed by Zendaya, navigating challenges of her own, unaware of his presence. These quiet emotional beats emphasize the isolation and sacrifice inherent in Peter's role as Spider-Man. Every choice he makes carries both immediate and long-term consequences, forcing him to balance protecting civilians with maintaining his hidden identity. This duality adds depth to the narrative, creating tension that is both psychological and physical. The mastermind strategy becomes increasingly sophisticated, targeting multiple locations simultaneously to stretch Spider Man thin. Coordinated attacks involve drones, surveillance networks, and cyber manipulation of city systems, requiring Peter to adapt constantly. He deploys advanced gadgets, sets traps using the environment, and employs tactical maneuvers to neutralize threats without exposing himself. These sequences blend acrobatics, intelligence, and suspense, reinforcing the stakes and the escalating danger. Through careful investigation, Peter begins to identify key figures within the antagonist's network. Some are high ranking officials, others corporate executives, each complicit in the mastermind scheme. This revelation raises the stakes significantly, showing that Spider Man is confronting not just criminals but an entrenched system of corruption and influence. The complexity of this challenge demands both intellect and agility, highlighting the evolution of Spider Man's role from protector of the streets to a strategist combating systemic threats. Amid these escalating challenges, Peter experiments with additional suit modifications, integrating tools for reconnaissance, stealth, and precision neutralization of multiple targets. These upgrades reflect his resourcefulness and preparedness, emphasizing that victory requires more than brute strength. It demands innovation and adaptability. The process of upgrading also provides moments of quiet reflection as Peter considers the stakes of his mission and the sacrifices he has made to continue protecting the city. A turning point occurs when Spider Man foils an attack on a major public event, saving civilians while simultaneously gathering intelligence about the antagonist's next major move. This sequence combines high intensity action, strategic problem solving, and environmental acrobatics, showcasing both Spider Man's physical skill and his tactical evolution. The success, while temporary, provides a moment of hope and demonstrates that even against a highly organized and intelligent enemy, Spider Man's ingenuity and resilience remain formidable. As the night deepens, Peter swings across the skyline, contemplating the dual burdens of his secret life. He remains unseen and unrecognized by the city he protects, yet he continues to fight with unwavering determination. This reflection underscores the central theme of Spider Man. Heroism is not just about physical victories, but about persistence, responsibility, and moral choice in the face of adversity. The events of the night set the stage for even greater challenges ahead as the mastermind's plans become clearer and the confrontation approaches, promising a blend of action, strategy, and emotional intensity in the chapters to come. Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, begins to see the full scope of the mastermind's plan, and the stakes escalate dramatically as New York City teeters on the brink of chaos. The antagonist's influence reaches into multiple sectors political, corporate, and criminal networks, making every confrontation not just a fight but a test of Spider Man's intellect, agility, and moral judgment. Each encounter demonstrates that the mastermind is not merely a villain but a strategist manipulating events from the shadows, always anticipating Peter's next move. Spider Man navigates the city's rooftops and underground tunnels with heightened awareness. The antagonist's operatives employ drones, automated defenses, and coordinated ambushes that challenge Peter at every turn. Each sequence combines acrobatics, tactical improvisation, and precise web based maneuvers, illustrating the evolution of Spider Man into a hero who must blend physical skill with careful planning. In one sequence, Peter disables multiple drones while using a combination of stealth tactics and quick thinking to prevent collateral damage, highlighting both his ingenuity and his deep sense of responsibility. While the action intensifies, Peter's emotional journey remains central to the narrative. MJ, played by Zendaya, continues her daily life, oblivious to the dangers swirling around her and unaware of Peter's presence. These quiet, reflective moments create tension and poignancy, reinforcing the human cost of Spider Man's secret life. Peter struggles with the knowledge that every choice carries personal and emotional consequences, reminding the audience that heroism is not just about fighting enemies, it is about protecting loved ones while remaining unseen. The criminal organization's operations escalate, targeting critical city infrastructures and public events with sophisticated, coordinated strategies. Spider Man faces increasingly difficult scenarios, requiring him to anticipate movements, disable traps, and neutralize multiple threats simultaneously. Each confrontation tests his agility, combat skills, and strategic thinking, and the sequence of events emphasizes that he is no longer fighting random street level crime but a calculated, intelligent force designed to stretch him to his limits. Peter continues to upgrade his Spider Man suit with enhanced stealth, adaptive sensors, and precision web systems, preparing for high stakes operations. These technological enhancements allow him to remain undetected, analyze threats in real time, and execute complex maneuvers with surgical precision. The process of innovation also provides narrative pauses, showing Peter's intelligence and resourcefulness, and reinforcing the theme that heroism in this story is as much about ingenuity as it is about strength. A pivotal moment occurs when Spider Man discovers the location of a major operation orchestrated by the antagonist. Using his investigative skills and stealth tactics, Peter gathers intelligence without alerting the enemy, setting the stage for the first direct confrontation. The suspense builds with each maneuver as he navigates high security environments, avoids traps, and formulates a plan to disrupt the operation while minimizing risk to civilians. The narrative balances high octane action with emotional depth. Peter reflects on his role as a protector of a city that does not recognize him, and this internal struggle amplifies the tension and stakes. Every swing through the skyline, every decision made in the shadows carries the weight of responsibility and personal sacrifice. The culmination of these efforts hints at a turning point where Peter must confront not only the physical threats but also the mastermind's broader citywide agenda. As the night ends, Spider Man perches atop a skyscraper overlooking the city, contemplating both the immediate danger and the long term challenges ahead. The clues he has uncovered, the encounters he has survived, and the upgrades to his suit all point toward a confrontation that will require every ounce of his skill, intellect, and resolve. The city is unaware of the storm brewing above its streets, and Spider Man, though unseen and unrecognized, prepares to step into the role of strategist, protector, and hero, ready to face the next wave of challenges with courage, ingenuity, and determination. As Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, delves deeper into the mastermind's operations, the tension in New York City escalates to unprecedented levels. The antagonist's reach is revealed to extend across multiple sectors of the city: corporate boardrooms, political offices, and underground criminal networks, showing a level of planning that is methodical, ruthless, and highly intelligent. Peter realizes that he is no longer dealing with isolated incidents but a coordinated citywide scheme that could bring chaos to millions. Each discovery raises the stakes, forcing him to think several moves ahead, anticipate contingencies, and adapt in real time to threats that evolve faster than he can react. During a late night reconnaissance mission, Spider Man encounters a heavily armed team of operatives guarding a critical piece of infrastructure that the antagonist intends to exploit. The encounter requires him to combine stealth, agility, and strategic combat. He swings silently across the city skyline, uses webs to disable drones, and improvises environmental traps to neutralize multiple enemies without causing civilian harm. The sequence blends high octane action with clever problem solving, showcasing Peter's growth as both a fighter and a strategist. His decisions in the field are precise, reflecting the maturity he has gained from previous battles and personal loss. Amidst the action, Peter's emotional journey continues to anchor the story. MJ, played by Zendaya, remains unaware of Peter's presence, moving through her daily life with her own challenges and triumphs. Peter watches from a distance, longing for connection but restrained by the knowledge that revealing himself could endanger her. These reflective moments, interwoven with adrenaline fueled sequences, provide a poignant contrast that emphasizes the human cost of Spider Man's secret life and the sacrifices inherent in heroism. The antagonist escalates the stakes by executing simultaneous attacks on critical city infrastructure using synchronized drones, automated defenses, and highly trained operatives. Spider Man is forced to confront multiple threats at once, balancing rapid decision making, precise timing, and improvisation. Each encounter challenges his agility, intelligence, and ability to prioritize civilian safety while combating the enemy. The tension intensifies as the mastermind anticipates his moves, demonstrating that Peter's opposition is not only physically formidable but mentally calculating and far ahead in strategy. Peter also continues to refine and upgrade his Spider Man suit. Advanced stealth features, adaptive sensors, and non lethal crowd control mechanisms are integrated to give him an edge against increasingly complex threats. The suit upgrades are portrayed cinematically, highlighting his intelligence, resourcefulness, and technical skill. Every adjustment to his gear is a reflection of the evolving challenges he faces, as Spider Man adapts not only to survive but to outsmart a highly organized enemy. A major turning point occurs when Spider Man uncovers the antagonist's central operation, a heavily fortified location containing critical plans that could determine the success of the criminal scheme. Using reconnaissance, stealth, and tactical ingenuity, Peter infiltrates the facility, navigating high security corridors, disabling advanced defenses, and gathering intelligence while remaining undetected. Each movement demonstrates a blend of action and strategy, emphasizing the cinematic suspense and escalating stakes of the confrontation. Throughout these sequences, Peter is haunted by the duality of his existence. The city he protects does not recognize him, yet he bears the weight of responsibility for its safety. Every swing through the skyline, every calculated maneuver, and every life saved reinforces the theme that true heroism is not about recognition but about persistence, intelligence, and moral conviction. The audience sees both his physical and emotional endurance tested as he prepares for the inevitable confrontation with the mastermind, whose plans are now fully within his sight. By the conclusion of this section, Spider Man has successfully disrupted a critical component of the antagonist's operation, saving countless civilians and obtaining key intelligence about their next moves. The events highlight his ingenuity, courage, and growth while also setting up a larger confrontation that promises to test his limits physically, mentally, and emotionally. The narrative tension peaks as Spider Man prepares to face an enemy who is always one step ahead, establishing a cinematic foundation for the next sequence of suspense, action, and character development. Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, begins to sense the full magnitude of the mastermind's influence over New York City. The antagonist is revealed to be methodical and patient, orchestrating attacks with precision and exploiting weaknesses in both infrastructure and public trust. Each encounter Spider Man faces demonstrates that brute force alone is not enough. He must combine agility, intelligence, and tactical acumen to outmaneuver an enemy who seems always two steps ahead. During a high stakes sequence, Spider Man infiltrates a critical operation hidden beneath the city's financial district. The facility is protected by automated drones, laser grids, and highly trained operatives. Peter's approach is calculated. He observes the patrol patterns, maps the environment in real time, and improvises as situations change unexpectedly. The choreography of the infiltration highlights both physical skill and strategic intelligence, blending acrobatics, suspense, and high tech gadgets. Each movement is tense and precise, underscoring the danger of a single misstep that could compromise the mission. Meanwhile, Peter's emotional journey continues to be central to the narrative. MJ, portrayed by Zendaya, remains unaware of his presence, yet her daily interactions and struggles serve as a constant reminder of the human stakes at play. Peter's isolation deepens the weight of responsibility he carries, protecting a city that does not recognize him while safeguarding those he loves without revealing himself. These quiet moments provide a contrast to the high octane action, reinforcing the personal cost of heroism and the internal conflict that drives Peter forward. The antagonist's network escalates its operations further, targeting multiple high profile locations simultaneously. Spider Man must adapt rapidly, neutralizing drones, disarming traps, and combating coordinated teams of operatives, all while minimizing collateral damage. Each encounter tests his reflexes, strategic thinking, and ability to prioritize civilian safety, creating sequences of intense suspense and cinematic action. The narrative demonstrates that the mastermind is not only physically imposing but also intellectually formidable, raising the stakes beyond anything Peter has previously encountered. Peter continues to innovate with his Spider Man suit, integrating advanced sensors, adaptive web systems, and stealth mechanisms designed for reconnaissance and precise combat. These upgrades are essential for countering the antagonist's increasingly sophisticated operations. The process of designing and deploying these enhancements highlights Peter's ingenuity, resourcefulness, and technical skill, showing that his success depends on both mind and body. A key turning point occurs when Spider Man discovers the Mastermind's central command location, a fortified facility containing crucial information and operational controls. Using stealth, observation, and tactical ingenuity, Peter infiltrates the facility, navigating complex security systems and neutralizing guards while collecting evidence about the enemy's plans. Each step demonstrates a blend of intelligence, agility, and precision, reinforcing the cinematic tension and showcasing Spider Man's evolution as a hero who must outthink his opponent. Throughout these sequences, the narrative emphasizes Peter's dual existence. By day, he remains an unseen protector, isolated and burdened by the knowledge that the city he fights for remains unaware of his sacrifices. By night, he engages in high stakes battles where every decision carries profound consequences. The audience sees him confronted not only with physical challenges but also with ethical dilemmas and personal sacrifices, making his heroism multi dimensional. As the night concludes, Spider Man reflects on the city below, aware of the magnitude of the challenge ahead. The intelligence he has gathered, the operations he has disrupted, and the personal risks he has taken all set the stage for a confrontation that will test his skill, intellect, and resilience to their limits. With the mastermind's plan now partially unveiled, the narrative builds toward the next escalation, promising sequences of high stakes action, suspense, and emotional intensity that will push Peter Parker and Spider Man to new heights. Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, finds himself racing against time as the mastermind's plan accelerates, threatening the stability of New York City. Every corner of the city, from crowded streets to towering skyscrapers, is now a potential target, and Spider Man must anticipate attacks before they occur. The antagonist's strategy becomes increasingly clear: destabilize key locations simultaneously, sow panic among civilians, and exploit both fear and confusion to achieve control. Spider Man's role shifts from reactive hero to proactive strategist, requiring him to combine intelligence, agility, and improvisation to stay one step ahead. In one intense sequence, Spider Man infiltrates a high tech control hub hidden in a downtown skyscraper. The building is monitored by drones, reinforced security systems, and elite operatives. Peter relies on his enhanced suit, equipped with stealth capabilities, adaptive sensors, and precise web based gadgets to navigate through corridors filled with surveillance and traps. Every movement is deliberate. One wrong step could expose his identity or jeopardize the mission. The choreography of this infiltration blends high intensity action with tactical problem solving, illustrating Peter's evolution from a reactive hero into a cerebral and highly skilled strategist. While the physical challenges intensify, Peter's internal struggles remain central to the narrative. He continues to observe MJ, played by Zendaya, navigating her own life, unaware of the peril surrounding her and the hero silently watching over her. These quiet, emotional moments emphasize the cost of his anonymity, the isolation inherent in his role, and the sacrifices required to maintain the safety of those he loves. The contrast between action packed sequences and reflective scenes adds depth, showing that heroism is as much about moral and emotional resilience as it is about physical skill. The antagonist escalates operations further, coordinating simultaneous attacks on multiple city sectors. Spider Man faces high tech drones, automated defenses, and operatives executing complex strategies. Each confrontation demands split second decisions, precise maneuvers, and innovative use of the environment. Peter's mastery of agility, combat, and web based tools allows him to neutralize multiple threats at once, demonstrating his growth as a hero capable of adapting to evolving dangers. The tension in these sequences is cinematic, blending suspense, choreography, and intelligence driven action. Peter's suit upgrades play a crucial role in these escalating threats. Enhanced stealth systems, adaptive targeting, and multifunctional web shooters allow him to operate efficiently, countering enemies who are technologically sophisticated and tactically smart. The integration of these tools highlights his creativity and strategic thinking, reinforcing that victory requires both physical prowess and intellectual ingenuity. A turning point occurs when Spider Man uncovers the Mastermind's central operation, a fortified hub containing key information, drones, and surveillance equipment that orchestrate the attacks across the city. Using stealth, observation, and calculated improvisation, Peter infiltrates the hub, neutralizing guards and disabling traps while gathering intelligence on the enemy's next moves. The tension peaks as every step could trigger alarms, forcing him to adapt instantly to changing conditions. Throughout these sequences, Peter reflects on the duality of his life: the city he protects, remains unaware of his sacrifices, yet he bears the burden of responsibility for its safety. Each swing across the skyline, each calculated maneuver, and each life saved reinforces the theme that true heroism is measured by persistence, intelligence, and moral conviction rather than recognition. The audience witnesses both his physical skill and emotional resilience being tested simultaneously. By the end of these events, Spider Man has disrupted a critical phase of the antagonist's operation and obtained valuable intelligence about the next stage of the plan. The narrative tension escalates, preparing for a confrontation that will test every facet of Peter Parker: his agility, his intellect, and his emotional endurance. With the city hanging in the balance and the mastermind's moves becoming increasingly audacious, the stage is set for an epic escalation of action, suspense, and cinematic drama. Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, faces the city's growing chaos head on as the mastermind's plan accelerates toward its peak. Every street, rooftop, and public space in New York is a potential battleground, and Spider Man's responsibility has never been heavier. The antagonist's influence is revealed to stretch into the upper echelons of the city's power structure, manipulating corporations, politicians, and criminal networks simultaneously. Spider Man realizes that success depends not only on his physical skill but also on his ability to predict the enemy's moves and adapt to ever changing threats. In a pulse pounding sequence, Spider Man infiltrates a massive, heavily fortified operation center filled with drones, automated defenses, and elite operatives trained to anticipate his every move. Using his enhanced suit with stealth systems, adaptive sensors, and modular web gadgets, Peter navigates hallways filled with laser grids, surveillance cameras, and armed guards. Each step is precise, each action calculated. The tension is palpable. One wrong move could expose his identity and compromise the city's safety. The choreography of this sequence blends acrobatics, suspense, and ingenuity, showing Spider Man at the peak of his tactical and physical abilities. Amid the high intensity action, Peter's emotional journey continues to resonate. MJ, portrayed by Zendaya, remains unaware of the danger surrounding her, adding a layer of personal stakes to Peter's mission. Each decision he makes is guided not only by the need to stop the mastermind but also by the desire to protect the people he loves without endangering them. These reflective moments provide a necessary emotional balance to the adrenaline fueled action, emphasizing that heroism is as much about moral courage as it is about strength or skill. The mastermind escalates attacks across the city, coordinating multiple simultaneous threats that force Spider Man to split his attention and prioritize targets in real time. He combats swarms of drones, disables complex security systems, and neutralizes coordinated teams of operatives while ensuring civilian safety. The cinematic tension rises as the antagonist anticipates Peter's responses, creating a series of high stakes sequences where Spider Man's intelligence, agility, and problem solving are tested to the limit. Peter's suit upgrades are pivotal during these operations. Stealth enhancements, adaptive sensors, and advanced web mechanisms allow him to infiltrate, observe, and neutralize threats without being detected. These technological tools complement his physical skills and strategic thinking, demonstrating that his victories depend on the combination of intellect, innovation, and courage. Each confrontation reinforces his evolution into a hero who must be as clever as he is strong. A major turning point occurs when Spider Man uncovers the mastermind's plan to execute a simultaneous attack on multiple city sectors. Using intelligence gathered from previous missions, he orchestrates a counter strategy, leveraging his environment, web based gadgets, and acrobatic prowess to disrupt operations, save civilians, and gather critical evidence about the antagonist's next moves. The sequence is intense, cinematic, and visually spectacular, blending suspense, action, and strategy in a way that heightens both stakes and drama. Throughout the unfolding events, Peter reflects on the burden of his dual identity. The city he protects remains unaware of his existence, yet he continues to bear the weight of responsibility, moral choice, and personal sacrifice. Each swing across the skyline, each tactical maneuver, and each life saved emphasizes the narrative's core theme. Heroism is defined by resilience, intelligence, and the courage to act even when unrecognized. By the end of these sequences, Spider Man has successfully disrupted a critical stage of the antagonist's plan, yet the threat remains far from over. The city is temporarily stabilized, but the mastermind's influence and reach are vast, setting the stage for an even greater confrontation. The tension builds, anticipation rises, and the narrative primes the audience for an epic escalation in action, suspense, and emotional stakes, promising that the next chapters will push Peter Parker and Spider Man to the absolute limits of skill, ingenuity, and endurance. Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, now faces the most intricate and dangerous phase of the mastermind's plan. The antagonist has escalated operations to citywide chaos, striking simultaneously at multiple locations, skyscrapers, bridges, and public events, testing Spider Man's limits physically, mentally, and emotionally. Every encounter reinforces that the enemy is not only powerful but brilliant, anticipating Peter's every move and using technology, manipulation, and intimidation to maintain the upper hand. The city itself becomes a labyrinth of peril, with Spider Man needing to act as both protector and strategist, orchestrating his own countermeasures while ensuring civilians remain safe. In a tense sequence, Spider Man infiltrates a major control hub where the antagonist coordinates attacks through drones, automated defenses, and operatives embedded throughout New York. Using his advanced suit, Peter navigates corridors filled with high tech traps and surveillance systems. Every step is deliberate. A single misstep could jeopardize the mission or reveal his identity. The sequence combines high octane acrobatics, stealth, and tactical improvisation, demonstrating Spider Man's evolution into a hero capable of outthinking and outmaneuvering a highly intelligent opponent. Amid the action, Peter's personal stakes remain central. MJ, played by Zendaya, continues her life unaware of the danger around her. Peter's protective instinct drives him to intervene from the shadows, balancing swift action with discretion to avoid endangering her or anyone else. These quiet, emotional beats contrast with explosive sequences, emphasizing that Spider Man's heroism is not only about fighting but also about moral responsibility and the sacrifices inherent in maintaining his secret identity. The antagonist escalates further, launching multi target attacks designed to overwhelm Spider Man and create chaos. Peter must prioritize improvising solutions and using his environment to counter the technologically enhanced threats. Swarms of drones, laser grids, and coordinated enemy teams challenge his agility and strategy, forcing him to adapt constantly. These sequences are meticulously choreographed, blending suspense, physical skill, and strategic thinking, creating a cinematic experience where tension never relents. Peter's suit upgrades are critical to surviving these escalating challenges. Advanced stealth functions, adaptive sensors, and specialized web based tools allow him to infiltrate, evade, and neutralize threats efficiently. Each confrontation highlights both ingenuity and resourcefulness, showcasing a Spider Man whose victories rely as much on intelligence as on physical strength. The suit, combined with Peter's experience, allows him to stay one step ahead in a game where the enemy seems always two moves ahead. A pivotal moment occurs when Spider Man intercepts communications revealing the mastermind's central plan, a simultaneous attack designed to destabilize the entire city within hours. Using his tactical skills, Peter devises a counter strategy, coordinating rapid interventions across multiple locations. Each move requires precise timing, calculated risk, and creative use of web based gadgets. The sequence is high intensity, cinematic, and visually striking, with suspense layered over intricate action sequences emphasizing both skill and intellect. Throughout these events, Peter reflects on his dual existence. By day, he is Peter Parker, a student and ordinary citizen. By night, he is Spider Man, the unseen protector of millions. The weight of responsibility, combined with the personal sacrifices he must endure, adds emotional depth to the story. Every swing across the skyline, each calculated maneuver, and every life saved reinforces the theme that heroism is defined by courage, intelligence, and moral choice rather than recognition or glory. By the end of this section, Spider Man has successfully disrupted critical components of the antagonist's plan, saving countless lives while gathering intelligence about the mastermind's next moves. Yet the threat is far from over. The city teeters on the edge, and the antagonist's strategy continues to unfold. The tension escalates, setting the stage for an epic confrontation that will test Peter Parker's skill, endurance, and emotional resilience, promising cinematic sequences filled with suspense, action, and strategic brilliance that push Spider Man to his absolute limits. Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, now faces the city's most critical and high stakes challenge yet. The mastermind's plan has escalated to the final phase, with multiple attacks coordinated to strike simultaneously, threatening to throw New York into chaos. Every corner of the city becomes a potential battleground, forcing Spider Man to respond with agility, precision, and strategic intelligence. Each decision is a high stakes gamble where even the smallest misstep could have catastrophic consequences for civilians and the city at large. In a heart pounding sequence, Spider Man intercepts an elite team of operatives guarding a high security hub where the mastermind controls drones, automated weaponry, and surveillance systems. Using his advanced suit, equipped with stealth technology, adaptive sensors, and web based gadgets, Peter navigates through laser grids, security cameras, and patrolling guards. Each movement must be precise. One error could reveal his identity or compromise his mission. The sequence is meticulously choreographed, blending acrobatics, suspense, and ingenuity, showcasing Spider Man's evolution into a hero who combines intellect, agility, and strategic foresight. Amid the tension, Peter's emotional journey remains central. MJ, played by Zendaya, continues her daily life, oblivious to the danger that surrounds her. Peter's decisions are guided not only by the need to stop the mastermind, but also by the imperative to protect the people he loves without endangering them. These reflective moments provide contrast to the high octane action sequences, highlighting the moral and emotional weight of Spider Man's responsibilities. The antagonist's operations become more sophisticated and ruthless. Coordinated attacks on multiple city sectors using drones, automated defenses, and operatives working in perfect synchronization stretch Spider Man to his limits. Each confrontation demands split second decisions, environmental awareness, and strategic improvisation. The sequences are cinematic, with tension and suspense heightened by the anticipation that the mastermind is always several steps ahead. Peter's suit upgrades are essential in these escalating challenges. Stealth capabilities, adaptive targeting systems, and modular web based tools allow him to infiltrate, evade, and neutralize threats with precision. These enhancements emphasize Peter's ingenuity and preparedness, showing that overcoming the antagonist requires both mental and physical excellence. Each successful maneuver underscores his growth as a hero capable of responding to threats of unprecedented complexity. And a crucial turning point occurs when Spider Man discovers the Mastermind's ultimate plan, a large scale operation designed to destabilize the entire city simultaneously. Using intelligence gathered from previous encounters, Peter develops a counter strategy, balancing precision, timing, and tactical intervention. The sequence is intense, cinematic, and visually spectacular, combining suspense, acrobatics, and problem solving in ways that demonstrate Spider Man's mastery of both combat and strategy. Throughout these events, Peter reflects on the duality of his existence. By day, he is Peter Parker, a young man trying to live an ordinary life. By night, he is Spider Man, the unseen guardian of millions. The narrative emphasizes the sacrifices, isolation, and responsibility inherent in this dual role. Each swing across the skyline, each decision made under pressure, and every life saved reinforces the theme that heroism is defined by courage, intelligence, and moral choice rather than recognition or fame. By the end of this section, Spider-Man has disrupted key operations and gained critical insight into the Mastermind's next moves, temporarily stabilizing the city. Yet the threat looms larger than ever, with the antagonist's plan still unfolding and the final confrontation imminent. The tension reaches its peak, setting the stage for an epic climax where Spider Man will be pushed to the limits of his skill, intellect, and emotional resilience. The city hangs in the balance, and the narrative primes the audience for sequences of intense action, suspense, and cinematic drama that will define the ultimate showdown. Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, swings into the heart of New York City, where the mastermind's final plan reaches its terrifying apex. Skyscrapers, bridges, and public spaces have become battlegrounds, each location rigged with traps, drones, and operatives ready to strike. Every move Spider Man makes is calculated, balancing agility, intellect, and timing to protect civilians while countering an enemy whose cunning seems limitless. The city itself becomes a dynamic arena of chaos, with Peter forced to act as both protector and strategist, orchestrating interventions across multiple fronts simultaneously. In a sequence filled with breathtaking acrobatics, Spider Man infiltrates the Mastermind's central hub, a towering structure fortified with laser grids, automated defense systems, and elite combatants. Using his advanced suit equipped with stealth technology, adaptive sensors, and modular web gadgets, Peter navigates through corridors and observation rooms, disabling drones, neutralizing operatives, and gathering intelligence in real time. Each movement requires precision and improvisation. A single misstep could jeopardize the city's safety or reveal his identity. The choreography is cinematic, blending suspense, intelligence, and action in sequences that keep the audience on edge. Meanwhile, Peter's personal stakes are higher than ever. MJ, portrayed by Zendaya, unknowingly walks through the chaos, and her safety weighs heavily on him. The narrative interweaves high intensity action with emotional reflection, emphasizing the sacrifices inherent in Peter's dual life. Each decision to intervene or remain hidden reinforces the moral responsibility that defines Spider Man's character, adding emotional depth to the explosive sequences. The mastermind, revealed to be a highly intelligent and resourceful villain, has meticulously orchestrated the citywide attacks to test Spider Man's limits and create widespread panic. Drones swarm the streets, automated defenses block critical paths, and elite operatives execute synchronized attacks. Peter faces challenges that demand rapid adaptability, strategic thinking, and flawless execution. Every swing, leap, and web shot is calculated, showcasing Spider Man at the pinnacle of both physical and intellectual skill. A pivotal moment occurs when Peter confronts the mastermind directly in the central hub. The confrontation blends close quarters combat, acrobatic maneuvering, and tactical problem solving, emphasizing that victory depends on more than just strength. It requires ingenuity, strategy, and moral courage. Peter uses the environment to his advantage, improvises on the fly, and neutralizes threats systematically, reflecting the evolution of his character from reactive hero to proactive, decisive protector. Throughout the climax, Peter reflects on his journey, the sacrifices, the losses, and the weight of responsibility. By day, he remains Peter Parker, a young man navigating ordinary life. By night, he is Spider Man, the unseen guardian of millions. This duality amplifies the tension and emotional resonance of the narrative, making every swing across the skyline, every calculated maneuver, and every life saved a testament to courage and selflessness. Ultimately, Spider Man triumphs, dismantling the mastermind's operation, neutralizing drones, and capturing the antagonist. The city is restored to safety, and Peter, though still unrecognized publicly for his heroics, finds a sense of accomplishment and moral fulfillment. Civilians are safe, and the threat has been eliminated, but the story leaves room for reflection on the challenges, sacrifices, and ongoing responsibilities that define Spider Man's life. The conclusion is cinematic, blending action, emotion, and strategy into a satisfying resolution. Spider Man swings above the city skyline at dawn, overlooking the streets he protects. The narrative closes with a sense of triumph tempered by reflection, highlighting that heroism is measured not by recognition but by persistence, intelligence, courage, and the unwavering commitment to protect others. The stage is now set for future challenges, leaving audiences thrilled and inspired by Spider Man's journey in Brand New Day. After the citywide chaos has subsided, Peter Parker, portrayed by Tom Holland, takes a moment to reflect on the magnitude of the night's events. The mastermind has been defeated, the city's civilians are safe, and the coordinated attacks have been dismantled. Yet the weight of responsibility remains heavy. Peter understands that heroism is not about public recognition, but about the unseen sacrifices made to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Each life saved, each risk taken, and each swing across the skyline is a testament to his resilience, intelligence, and unwavering moral conviction. MJ, portrayed by Zendaya, finally becomes aware of Peter's identity. Their reunion is heartfelt and emotional, grounding the story in the human stakes behind the superhero action. This moment emphasizes the personal side of heroism, the courage to protect loved ones while maintaining the secrecy required to keep them safe. Peter realizes that the duality of his life as both Peter Parker and Spider Man is a constant balancing act, but one that is essential to his mission and identity. Meanwhile, the antagonist is securely apprehended with the mastermind's network dismantled and evidence handed over to authorities. The resolution demonstrates that Spider Man's combination of intellect, strategy, and physical skill is not just about combat, but about dismantling threats methodically and intelligently. The narrative reinforces that victory comes through preparation, perseverance, and moral clarity. Peter swings across New York City one last time in this chapter, observing the sunrise over the skyline. The city is calm, but he knows threats will inevitably return. This final sequence highlights both triumph and vigilance, showing that while one battle may end, Spider Man's responsibilities continue. The cinematic imagery, blending the cityscape with his acrobatic movement, reinforces the blend of action and reflection that defines his character. The emotional resonance is paired with cinematic spectacle. Every web swing, leap, and maneuver is framed to emphasize not only the hero's skill but the perseverance and courage behind his actions. Peter's journey, filled with challenges, sacrifices, and moments of personal growth, culminates in a satisfying resolution that leaves the audience inspired and emotionally connected. As the story closes, the narrative emphasizes the timeless theme of Spider Man. Heroism is defined by intelligence, courage, and the willingness to act selflessly even without recognition. The city sleeps peacefully, unaware of the sacrifices that kept it safe, and Peter Parker stands as the eternal guardian, ready to face whatever challenges the future may bring. The chapter ends with a sense of closure, triumph, and quiet reflection, leaving the door open for new adventures while honoring the journey of growth, responsibility, and heroism that has defined Brand New Day.